Trivandrum itself, newer batches were coming, and they were actually involved also in grassroots level art practices. Like there was this Vettigard village, which was a kind of fisher folk village. So where the art students went and lived with them and were working. One of them was, this is a kind of little handout that was brought out, painters with fishermen. This was sponsored by some international agency, and the works were actually collected by them. Of course, you won't be able to make out the statement the artists are making with regard to that. So these artists actually also were inducted or came to Baroda. Harindran, Alexander. So this was a kind of younger generation. Jyoti Basu also came to Baroda. And this is Harindran's, those paintings. These are the kind of remains that I could find about those works that were done. This is fisher folk, etc. And yeah, this is C.K. Rajan, another important artist who was. So these are works done in the context of the fisher folk in the fisherman's village. This is Jyoti Basu, early work. So very typical kind of Kerala, radical approach. Now, years 1986 and 87 had been the most eventful for the formation of the group. The group with a specific ideological viewpoint and definite group members took place in Baroda with the exhibition titled Question and Dialogue. This happened in the Faculty of Fine Arts. In front of everybody. 1980, K.J. Subramaniam had retired and left Baroda. He was settled in Shantiniketan. But Ghulam Sheikh was the head of the painting department now. So he actually was there in the exhibition. And also many others actually also came, like Raja Dhyaksha, etc., also came to attend the lecture. The catalog essay of Indian Radical Painters and Sculptors Association was written by only female member and the only non-Malayali in the group. So her role in the group was very significant. She wrote this question and dialogue catalog. I'm just showing you, not showing the insides of it, but just how it looks, at least you should know. So there was a photograph of Gay Committee's hand behind in the back seat, back side. So this was an exhibition that was held in the Faculty of Fine Arts Art Gallery, and it was one of the most controversial, argumentative situation that I have faced in art world, because the kind of tensions that it created in the art, because say already about 7 years had gone, after Place for People, and these youngsters were kind of coming and being patronized by the Vivan Sundaram, Ghulam Sheikh group, right? They were almost thinking that these are those who are going to continue their figurative narrative tradition. But actually, the Radical Painters and Sculptors Association had another agenda. They thought completely differently from the Place for People ideology. So that is what one should actually now understand. They yearn for a praxis or a prayog. That is the only nearby word I could. Praxis, you can translate it as also a practice. Yearn for a practice. When you say praxis, it's a kind of a Marxian use of the word. Based on a liberation from existing elite art production. It's first time that any artist in the country is raising this issue of elite art production and viewing system. The upper layer of the art practice. Art practice, like some of you are aware of the kind of system that we are all into, which is controlled totally by the, moneyed class, right? Those who are able to buy, those who are able to show. Aya, chai. So they rejected all tendencies of revivalism or indigenism, including K.G. Subramaniam. K.G. Subramaniam was rejected for his false paternal humanism towards, these are exactly the word, false paternal humanism towards folk artists. He appropriated the folk artists in order to enrich his own skill, whereas the folk artists are left unattended. The entire nationalism, modernism of India has sidelined and used the tribal and folk artists, including J. Swaminathan's, Bharat Bhavan, Craft Museum, to all engagement, anywhere you use them and threw them out. Use them and kind of, so this was very seriously taken by the Indian radical painters, and they called Subramaniam's position as false paternal humanism. The kind of patronage that he gives to the folk and tribal was exploitative, they said. Okay, so 2 points. One is actually a criticism about the established mainstream. They also criticized all postmodernist art productions for the avoidance of any serious examination of. They were very strong critique of Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh for his very shallow approach to image making. That without any commitment he could do any image of anything, Why is he doing certain things? We do not know, like something like City for Sale or this imagery of that kind, right? So they called it as postmodern. Postmodern was not considered to be very right thing to do at that point in time. That's because of its superficiality of postmodernism, right? It was more like a fashion. Postmodernism was more like a fashion, was understood more like a fashion at that time. So it criticized Ghulam Sheikh. It takes critical stand in conjunction with the nascent desire. They were actually looking for a kind of alternative. They are the first ones in the context of India who mentioned about alternative practices in relation to mainstream. So this is very important. दूसरा या अलग विकल्प क्या हो सकता है कला को practice करने के लिए? If you are an artist, you make your work in your studio, you have your 6 years studies, then you make your own studio, produce some works, take it to the gallery, try to sell it as much as possible by hook or crook or any way you kind of, and art critics are actually kind of given, favored for writing on them. Somehow you promote yourself, you make a name for yourself, you kind of, then you get that capital, bring it back, put it back in your work, again produce more work, again go and show it. Where do these works go? It never reaches people. Indian public is completely devoid or unconnected to any modern art, right? So this system of art practice was highly questioned by Indian Radical Painters and Sculptors Association. So they were searching for another way of existing. Now, I would like to kind of think a little bit about K.P. Krishnakumar's so-called radical, He was the most vibrant and active organizer of Radical Collective. He is the one who decided who all should be in the group. He was acutely subversive in the sense, एक तबाह करने वाला personality था. He will challenge anybody. He will not accept anybody's authorities. He will not allow K.G. Subramaniam to enter his studio, stand outside. I'm working now, he will say. I mean, in Shantiniketan it happened. He was so arrogant, so arrogant. There are so many stories about his arrogance against all of them. All those, established artists like Vivan Sundaram, etc., etc. After the 7 young sculptors exhibition, nobody was buying his work because they were plaster and very unfinished and very crude. He would definitely make objects which are not saleable, Krishnakumar. So, but after the show also you cannot throw them, right? You have to keep it somewhere. So it was kept in Vivan Sundaram's house. So after that there was a big fight between Vivan and people, and Vivan said that you have to take them away. I don't want to keep your work, right? He went to his house, took out the works, broke them all in front of his gate, one by one. It's a fact. It is that is why I call him Tabah karne wala, Takrav karne wala. That was his personality, do or die.
Do you agree with this word? Tabah karne wala, takrav karne wala? Are you agree?
About?
Tabah karne wala.
His personality was like that.
I understand the personality.
Whether I agree with that or not is not a question, right? He was like that, that's all I am saying. What you should be, right? So that was Krishnakumar, who was the leader of the group. No wonder it did not stay for too long, because it doesn't work in Indian context, at least. That kind of extreme position is very difficult for anybody to accommodate. Now, these are Jyoti Basu's later works that he did. This is Alex Matthews' work was when he was in the group. This was 1987, wood carving he was doing. This is Madhusudanan. Now, I mentioned about the donkey and the common man, etc., etc. Many new imagery came into Baroda. Boat, for instance, came into Baroda vocabulary after the radical paint. Prabhakaran was another very important artist who painted subalterns throughout, who was a member of, he was student, K. Prabhakaran was a student in Baroda. This is a Harijan woman he is painting. He is no more, by the way. And now it is in this question and dialogue exhibition that they announced that they are going to shift their arena to from Baroda to Kerala. So that's after that they shifted. The exhibition of the group, second exhibition was in Calicut during February 1989. So the radical collective search for alternative practices through art is exceptional movement, as far as it's a very, very unusual. So this is the catalog essay. Chai piyenge, 1 minute. Sorry. ना मैं आ रहा है, अभी finish हो रहा है. ठीक है. So this is the catalog publication from Calicut show that happened. They are kind of newspaper print, nothing very glossy about it, but very ordinary. So it has a portrait of artists and also a little write-up. I read out radicals, in fact, had a different view of history that comes through in this writing, and different vision about practicing as artists, which did not fall in line within the scheme of the accepted norms of the national mainstream. Their imaginations of institutions, opinions, and yearning for a practice were profoundly different from the other movements. So this is half part of the, I have one more section. We will actually do that after tea. Okay, we'll continue this after tea. Come back as soon as possible.